Okay, I think we're here. I just wanted to show some stuff I've been working on recently. First, I should say hello and go away till later. Hopefully, a lot of this is readable without me reading it word for word. But I did not intend for this to be a rant and a rave, even though it might sound like that. This is just me noticing some things and then trying to do something about it in terms of eBooks, but it's not a solution exactly. It's just something I came up with, and so far it seems to work pretty good. So now the question here is, why did I do an ebook in this kind of new way? It's not really new exactly because it's just a web page, really. But that's what an epub, EPUB format type of file is, really. And I'm just calling it hybrid ebook for a lack of any better word, like high book. But first off, I'm saying reading is kind of getting out of control in terms of its cost and the limitations to access it. I don't think you should have to go through some of these publishing, distributing places to get your writing out there if you want. So let's look at what you typically see. I've got a few websites here to look at. So here's one I've done the usual way. You'd put it up on KDP, which is a part of Amazon, and it would become, you see three things there: Kindle book for $3, an audio book, which is through kind of a part of Amazon, a place called Audible, ACX, you've probably heard of, or gotten books from there to listen to, and a paperback. Now look at these costs. $3 is not so bad, I don't think, for an ebook. I'm not promoting myself, by the way, but that's not bad for that beginner type writing that I'm doing. The audiobook, I don't think I had any control over this price. They decided. And again, with the paperback, they kind of decided, even though you can, raise the price up. But there's some minimum just to print things. And maybe print's kind of reaching the point where it should have gone away by now, but it still hasn't. And honestly, I do like a paper book, but, we all realize there's only so many trees, and whatever else they're made out of, it's going to run out eventually. So what bugs me the most is I have no control, and the overcharging, that bothers me. And it just seems like I'm saying here that I should be able to read, listen, or both at the same time for the same purchase. And that is a real, I'm saying there's just a smell about buying the same thing twice, which I have. I'm guilty of it. What choice do you have? So now this is, and instead of this, what I came up with is this, which might sound promo marketing, but isn't intended that way. It's just so you can see what I came up with. So instead of here, like it is, you buy it, download it, put it on a device, or use an app you put on your device to read these books from Amazon or other places. I came up with this, which is basically, as you can see up there at the top, hopefully, just a HTML page. It's a self-contained HTML page. In other words, it's not depending on anything else out there in the world. Let me move that out of the way. And I've got a table of contents and the usual stuff, preface, chapters, author notes at the bottom, all that. You can read it. You can resize it. This will come up correctly on a phone. I can have an image in there, which is not a new thing for books. But here is something I haven't seen, although I have a feeling it's out there somewhere. I don't know if it'll pick this up if I play it. We'll see. So I'll play a little bit of this.
Chapter 1, Formic. I still feel them on my skin, thousands of...
But embedded right in this page, which I'm thinking of as an ebook, is the words as well as the audio. I don't know if you heard it or not, but you can see that it's here, and you can adjust the volume and listen to it as you read. So it'll start reading to you. And kind of a side note, the cool thing here is that is my voice, but not really my voice. That is me reading to a AI voice clone thing that for about 5 minutes of reading, it thinks it knows how you speak, which probably isn't 100% true, but it's close. And I think it did a pretty good job. So in other words, to get this read, I just take the words to the website, which is ElevenLabs, put them in there, copy and paste, and then it reads back and creates an MP3 file, which I stuck here on this page, right in the HTML. And it's a simple page. If you look at it, there's not a lot going on because I didn't want to get all caught up in, knowing all the ins and outs of HTML and CSS and JavaScript and all that. And the whole point of this is to get these words where somebody can read and listen to them, I think. If you can see, then there's sometimes a nice picture to go with it. And it will jump around, let you easily navigate. I can go down here and see what the author had to say, not a lot. I can scroll up. Some have pictures, some don't. I can go back to the top. So that's how I see if there was a direction forward with eBooks and a way to reduce their price and the accessibility, I see this as a possibility. I'm not a little entrepreneur and trying to do this myself because that, it takes more than one person, I would think, to deal with authors and readers and all that kind of stuff. So let's get back to where we were here because I want to quickly summarize how you might do this. I think I covered all that. So as you can see, I'm just in a regular old web browser, Chrome, and I'm able to read the book, look at the pictures, and listen to the audio. I don't need any extra special software. And the same would be true on my cell phone. I have an Android, and this works exactly the same way as it does here. It's just a smaller screen. So at this point, to keep this short, you might be wondering how I did this. And this is how I'm doing it. I've got 2 of these out there, which I'll probably put on Etsy as well as on my website. And I'm saying there, how did I do it? So these are the steps. And of course, I'm sure there's lots of other ways to do this, given where we are. Step 1, you got to have some kind of device you can type on and get interweb access to anyway. You need a website, preferably free, I would think. I use GitHub Pages because it is free and they kind of keep a backup of your stuff. And it's really intended for programmers. I'll show you that right here. But in a way, it's not. It's for any project because there are people who write books on there. So step 3, you might have to know a tiny bit or learn a tiny bit about HTML or CSS, but not really. If you go here and grab yourself a copy of w3.css, I'll show you the page. It's got advertising, so sorry about that. But it's got kind of examples and demos of just about all of this. And if you walk through them, what I found is a few of the examples and templates that I liked. So they're free. I just grabbed it and off I went. And it's pretty straightforward. It's readable. So all these years I've been doing it the hard way. This was the easier way. So you would need to do that, I think. Step 4, this is a little harder to explain, but you want to keep the thing, your website that you're going to put the ebook on, a static website. In other words, you don't want to have to depend on any hosting company. You don't want to have to know about web servers. You don't want to know any of that because when you do get the ebook to the point where you want to read it and use it, it should be able to stand alone. Like you can just look at it right there on your machine and go, okay, that's good. And then you're going to put it somewhere where other people, if you want them to, can read it and look at it. So step 5, you would have somehow come up with the HTML files that you want. The easiest way is to have one of these programs that creates an EPUB, whatever that might be. I listed here Atticus and Vellum. I use Vellum, but there's Atticus here for the PC. There's Vellum, which does create beautiful books, but it's kind of expensive. And if you don't have a Mac, it only runs on a Mac. So I think maybe a Mac and a cloud, but that's all outside the scope of what I'm talking about here. You're going to end up with some sort of, in some way, an EPUB file. Now, you could probably do that in Pages on a Mac or Word on a PC, but you're going to end up with that. And then you're going to want to somehow convert that EPUB back into what it really is, which is HTML files and images. And I found this thing called Pandoc, which has been around forever. I didn't even know it had a website. I just saw it as a Unix Linux thing, but there it is, Pandoc. And that will convert just about anything to anything else. So this simple little command here for Pandoc, once you download it, it will turn your EPUB into an HTML file, a standalone with everything crammed inside it. No images outside. It's nice and clean. And you can clean it up some more if you want and add in, I don't know, colors for the page, outlines around the text like I had here. Let's go back here. You see there's a little outline here around the text for each little chapter or section, which I thought was nice. It kept it from blending all together, making it more readable, I would hope. So there's that. So now you've got all your stuff. You think it's ready. You've looked it over. You've listened to it. You've put in pictures, videos. You can even have videos if you want. Put all that in there. It's all together. It's one big thing. It runs by itself. It's a lone, self-contained thing. You reach step 6. So then you got to make a decision. Is this writing so important to me that I should protect it? Well, it turns out the only way I could find that does protect it and secure it, but not 100%, because nothing is 100%. But this would take some effort to decrypt because it involves, if you do it, a really long password to come up with. And it's called PageCrypt. I'll show it here. And this person's nice enough to have it set up so you can do it right there. You don't have to go get any software or download anything. They take donations, apparently. But that will take your file and turn it into a encrypted file. It takes your passwords right there. So that's straightforward if you want to go that way. If you just realize that if you put it on the interweb, it's going to get stolen, then you're good to go. So number 7, now you got to put it somewhere. You got to host it. And I would recommend GitHub because they just get out of your way. You just put your files there. And unless you become some big popular writer like Stephen King, you might want to pay for a hosting site. But they keep your files. I've never lost any of my data over the years because I used them when I was a programmer. But you put it there and you can go to all the next steps of buying yourself a domain and pointing the domain over there. They make it easy to do. And now your ebook, high book, whatever you want to call it, can be shared with others or not shared. It's up to you. Choice can be freedom, right? Of course, here we come to the 8th step, the final step, which is the hardest one of all, which means you have to write something. You have to write something to either give away or make available or sell on Etsy or Amazon or wherever you want to sell it, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, any of those places. Which means you got, in addition to writing, you got a little organizing to do because you got to create the actual stuff you upload. And then I'm wishing you good luck here at the bottom. So good luck. And it can be done, as you can see here. You can do it the traditional way and give money to the man, or you can do it the new way and take the money for yourself. So, because after all, they do push marketing and promotion onto you anyway. So if you're going to have to go through all that, why not go through it and get all of the money, however much money that could be. I don't expect much, and that's not why I'm doing it. I'm more about sharing, but that is it in a nutshell. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If you want a copy of this screen here with all the information, I'd be happy to provide that. I might stick that in the notes, but every time I do that, it seems to get a little long. But feel free to ask if you want to see. So with that, I'm going to come back here real quick and say peace.